Stop! Before you start stockpiling your pantry, you need to hear this. There are 8 so-called survival foods that could put your health, your safety, and even your survival at risk in a real emergency. And the worst part? Most preppers already have them, completely unaware of the dangers. But don't panic, because today we're also revealing the 8 absolute best survival foods you need to stockpile. These aren't just any foods, they're the game changers that could mean the difference between thriving and barely surviving when SHTF. And here's the kicker. The #1 best survival food is something that 90% of preppers overlook completely. Yet it could be the single most important food for long-term survival. So stay with me until the end. You do not want to miss this. But before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe to Preppers Community, where we bring you the most hard-hitting, real-world survival strategies to keep you ahead of the curve. Let's jump in. First, the 8 worst survival foods that you absolutely must avoid at all costs. Number 8, canned vegetables with hidden additives. At first glance, canned vegetables might seem like an essential survival food. They're cheap, widely available, and have a long shelf life. But here's the harsh reality. Many of them could be silently sabotaging your health in a long-term survival situation. Most store-bought canned vegetables are packed with harmful preservatives, artificial additives, and excessive sodium. These chemicals aren't there to benefit you. They're there to prolong the shelf life of the product, often at the expense of its nutritional value. And it gets worse. Many canned goods are lined with BPA, a chemical linked to hormonal imbalances, immune suppression, and even increased cancer risks. When these cans are stored for long periods, especially in fluctuating temperatures, the risk of chemical leaching increases dramatically. That means every time you open a can, you could be exposing yourself to toxins without even knowing it. Then there's the sodium problem. Sure, salt is necessary for survival, but in controlled amounts. The problem? Many commercial canned vegetables contain up to 40% of your daily sodium intake in just one serving. In a survival scenario, where clean drinking water might be scarce, consuming excessive sodium can speed up dehydration and put extra strain on your body. And let's talk about nutrient loss. Over time, canned vegetables lose essential vitamins and minerals, leaving you with fewer nutrients when you need them the most. So what should you stockpile instead? The superior alternative is freeze-dried vegetables. They last 25+ years, retain up to 97% of their original nutrients, and don't require any artificial preservatives. When rehydrated, they taste just like fresh vegetables and can be used in soups, stews, or eaten as is. Another powerful solution? Home canning. Unlike mass-produced canned goods, home canned vegetables let you control the ingredients, eliminate toxic linings, and use natural preservation methods. Glass jars won't leach chemicals, and you can store them safely for years with proper techniques. If you're serious about survival, it's time to ditch the store-bought canned junk and start stockpiling real, long-lasting nutrition. Number 7, the whole wheat flour mistake that could ruin your stockpile. Most people think whole wheat flour is a smart survival food, a staple for making bread, pancakes, and other essential foods in an emergency. But here's the ugly truth. If you're stockpiling store-bought whole wheat flour, you're setting yourself up for failure. Why? Because whole wheat flour goes rancid shockingly fast, often within just a few months. Unlike white flour, which has the bran and germ removed, whole wheat flour still contains the natural oils found in wheat. And while that's great for nutrition, it's terrible for long-term storage. These oils oxidize quickly, causing the flour to spoil, develop a bitter taste, and become completely unusable in survival conditions. And it gets worse. Once rancid, whole wheat flour can develop toxic compounds that aren't just unpleasant, but could actually be harmful over time. If you're relying on it for food security, you could open your emergency stash one day and find it's completely ruined, just when you need it the most. So what's the right way to stockpile wheat for long-term survival? Store whole wheat berries instead. Whole wheat berries are the raw, unprocessed form of wheat. And unlike flour, they can last for decades when stored properly in mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. When you're ready to use them, simply grind them into fresh flour using a hand-crank grain mill. Not only does this guarantee you always have fresh, high-quality flour, but it also ensures you get maximum nutrition, since grinding wheat on demand preserves far more nutrients than prepackaged flour ever could. In a long-term crisis, having a stockpile of wheat berries is like having an endless supply of fresh flour at your fingertips. So if you're still storing bags of whole wheat flour, it's time to rethink your food preps before it's too late. Number 6. The hidden dangers of pre-cooked rice packs. Preppers love rice. It's cheap, filling, and packed with carbs for energy. But if you've been stockpiling those convenient pre-cooked rice packs, you're making a dangerous mistake. Why? Because pre-cooked rice is a bacterial time bomb waiting to explode in a survival situation. These microwavable rice packs might seem like an easy, long-lasting solution, but they come with a huge risk. Bacillus cereus, a bacteria that thrives in cooked rice left at room temperature too long. Even if the package is sealed, tiny temperature fluctuations over time can allow bacteria to multiply, making the rice dangerous to eat. And let's talk about storage. Unlike raw, dry rice that can last for decades when stored properly, pre-cooked rice has a dramatically shorter shelf life. Once that packaging is compromised, even slightly, moisture can get in, leading to mold, spoilage, and a total loss of your food supply. In a real crisis, you need reliability, not risky convenience foods. So what's the right way to stockpile rice for survival? Go for bulk dry rice and store it properly. White rice, when stored in mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, can last 30+ years without any risk of bacterial contamination. Brown rice, on the other hand, contains natural oils that cause it to spoil much faster. So if you're going to stockpile rice long-term, stick with white rice or parboiled rice for the best shelf life. When the grid goes down, you don't want to discover that your emergency food supply is full of contaminated rice. Ditch the pre-cooked packs and start stockpiling real, long-lasting food security today. Number 5. The truth about vegetable oils that no one tells you. Most preppers stockpile cooking oil without thinking twice, assuming it'll last long enough for survival. But here's the harsh truth. Most vegetable oils go rancid shockingly fast and can become toxic over time. Oils like canola, soybean, and sunflower seem like solid choices, but in reality, they start oxidizing within months, even faster if exposed to heat, air, or light. And when they go rancid, they don't just taste bad, they produce harmful free radicals that can cause inflammation, digestive issues, and even long-term health risks. And here's where it gets worse. Many store-bought vegetable oils are already partially rancid before you even buy them due to poor processing and storage. That means, if you're stocking up on cheap bottles of cooking oil, you might be preparing for survival with a food source that could actually harm you in a crisis. So what's the better alternative? Coconut oil and ghee. Coconut oil is naturally resistant to oxidation, with a shelf life of at least 5 years, and even longer if stored properly. It's packed with healthy fats that provide a reliable source of energy, and unlike vegetable oils, it doesn't break down into harmful compounds over time. Then there's ghee, a form of clarified butter that can last years without refrigeration. Not only is it packed with healthy saturated fats, but it also has a high smoke point, making it perfect for cooking in survival situations. If you're serious about long-term food security, it's time to ditch the vegetable oils and stock up on real, shelf-stable fats that will last when you need them most. Number 4. The hidden weakness of non-vacuum sealed pasta is a staple in nearly every prepper's stockpile. It's cheap, easy to cook, and provides long-lasting energy. But here's what most people don't realize. If your pasta isn't stored correctly, it could be useless when you need it most. Most store-bought pasta comes in thin cardboard or plastic packaging, which offers little protection against moisture, pests, and oxidation. Over time, even small amounts of humidity can cause clumping, mold growth, and deterioration, while tiny pests like weevils can easily chew through packaging and infest your entire supply. And let's talk about nutrient loss. Pasta stored improperly loses texture and taste, making it less reliable for long-term survival. In a real crisis, every calorie counts, and the last thing you want is to open a bag of stale, compromised pasta when food is scarce. So, what's the right way to store it? Vacuum-sealed mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. When stored in mylar with proper sealing, pasta can last 25+ years without losing quality. The oxygen absorbers prevent oxidation, while the mylar barrier blocks moisture and pests completely. For even better long-term durability, consider freeze-dried or dehydrated alternatives, which retain maximum shelf life and nutrient stability. If you're stockpiling pasta in its original packaging, you're making a critical mistake. The solution? Seal it right, store it smart, and ensure your supply stays fresh no matter how long the crisis lasts. Number 3. The hidden dangers of cheap powdered milk. Powdered milk seems like a smart addition to any prepper's stockpile. Long shelf life, easy to store, and a convenient dairy substitute. But not all powdered milk is created equal, and if you're stocking up on cheap grocery store brands, you could be making a serious mistake. The biggest issue? Oxidized cholesterol. Unlike fresh dairy, most store-bought powdered milk goes through high-heat processing, which causes the natural fats to oxidize, turning what should be a survival essential into something that can be harmful for your arteries and long-term health. Studies have shown that oxidized cholesterol contributes to inflammation and increases the risk of heart disease, making it a poor choice for long-term survival nutrition. And then there's the taste and texture problem. Many cheap brands mix poorly, leaving behind clumps, a chalky consistency, and an unpleasant aftertaste, making it even harder to rely on in a crisis. So what's the better option? High-quality prepper-grade powdered milk. Look for low-heat processed, non-fat, and freeze-dried milk options that preserve essential nutrients while avoiding oxidation. These versions not only last longer, but also mix better, taste fresher, and provide genuine nutritional value when you need it most. If you're serious about stocking up, skip the cheap processed junk and invest in real, long-lasting survival milk that won't compromise your health when it matters most. Number 2. The problem with low-quality canned meats. Canned meats like Spam, Vienna sausages, and cheap off-brand options have become a go-to survival food for many preppers. They last a long time, require no refrigeration, and provide a quick source of protein. But here's the harsh reality. Most of these are filled with low-quality fats and questionable fillers that could do more harm than good in a survival situation. One of the biggest issues? Rancid fats. While canned meats are shelf-stable, the low-quality fats used in these products degrade faster than you think. Over time, exposure to heat and oxidation causes the fats to break down, leading to off flavors, unpleasant odors, and even potential digestive issues. And that's just the start. Many canned meats are loaded with chemical preservatives, nitrates, and fillers designed to extend shelf life, but at the cost of nutrition and digestibility. Some brands even use mechanically separated meat, which is essentially a paste of questionable scraps and byproducts. Not exactly the high-quality protein you want to rely on when food is scarce. So what should you stockpile instead? High-quality freeze-dried meats. Unlike canned meats, freeze-dried options retain nearly 100% of their original protein content, last over 25 years, and contain zero preservatives or fillers. They're lightweight, easy to store, and can be rehydrated into full meals with just a bit of water. If you're serious about survival, skip the cheap, processed canned meats and invest in real, long-term protein sources that won't fail you when it matters most. Number 1. The biggest scam in the prepper world. Cheap off-brand emergency food buckets. Every prepper knows the importance of having emergency food stockpiled, but if you've been relying on cheap off-brand food buckets that claim to last 25 years, you're in for a nasty surprise. These mass-produced survival buckets often contain low-quality, over-processed ingredients with barely any real nutritional value. Many are stuffed with filler grains, heavily salted instant meals, and powdered soups that offer little protein and almost no essential vitamins. And let's not forget the taste. Most of these so-called long-term food kits taste terrible, with bland, artificial flavors and a texture that feels more like eating cardboard than actual food. Imagine being in a survival situation, opening your emergency stash and realizing you can't even stomach the meals. Even worse, some of these budget emergency food brands have been caught selling products that fail shelf-life testing, meaning your 25-year supply could spoil in just a few years without you knowing. So what's the solution? Invest in high-quality, tested survival food kits. Look for trusted brands that prioritize real nutrition, high protein content, and balanced meals. The best emergency food kits include freeze-dried meats, real vegetables, and calorie-dense options that actually sustain you in a crisis. When SHTF, you don't want to be stuck with worthless, nutrient-deficient food. Choose wisely now so you won't regret it later. Did any of these surprise you? Comment below. Now let's move on to the 8 best survival foods you need before March. Number 8. Freeze-dried meat. The ultimate long-term protein source. If you're serious about survival, freeze-dried meat is non-negotiable. Unlike canned meat, which can contain preservatives, excess sodium, and low-quality fats that degrade over time, freeze-dried meat is designed for maximum shelf life, nutrient retention, and convenience. With a shelf life of 25-plus years, freeze-dried meat maintains nearly 100% of its original protein and nutrient content, making it one of the most efficient sources of survival protein you can stockpile. Whether it's chicken, beef, pork, or even fish, freeze-dried options can be rehydrated in minutes and used in soups, stews, or eaten straight from the package in an emergency. Another massive advantage? Portability. Unlike heavy canned meats, freeze-dried meat is lightweight, compact, and easy to store, making it perfect for bug-out bags, emergency kits, and long-term home storage. And let's talk about quality. Unlike cheap processed meats that are packed with fillers, freeze-dried meat is typically 100% pure, meaning no artificial preservatives, no questionable ingredients, just real high-quality protein. When it comes to long-term survival food security, this is a must-have in any prepper's stockpile. If you're still relying on canned meats, it's time to upgrade. Number 7. Powdered eggs, the survival superfood. Most people overlook eggs are one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet, packed with protein, healthy fats, and essential vitamins. But in a long-term survival situation, fresh eggs aren't an option, which is why you need high-quality freeze-dried powdered eggs in your stockpile. Forget those low-quality grocery store powdered eggs that taste terrible and clump when mixed. Real, premium freeze-dried eggs are a game-changer. They last for decades, retain almost all of their original nutrition, and reconstitute perfectly into scrambled eggs, omelets, or as a key ingredient in baking. And here's why they're so valuable in a crisis. They provide the perfect balance of protein and fat, two macronutrients that are critical for energy and survival. Unlike rice and beans, which are high in carbs but low in fats, eggs deliver complete nutrition, helping you stay strong and sharp when resources are limited. Another huge advantage? Zero refrigeration needed. Unlike fresh eggs, which spoil quickly, freeze-dried eggs can sit on your shelf for 20-plus years, ready to use at a moment's notice. If you want a long-term, reliable source of protein and fat, freeze-dried eggs should be at the top of your list. Because when food is scarce, having access to real nutritious protein could make all the difference. Number 6. Hard red wheat berries, the key to long-term food independence. Flour is a staple in every kitchen, but if you're stockpiling bags of store-bought flour, you're making a huge mistake. Processed flour goes stale within months, and if not stored properly, can become rancid or infested with pests. That's why hard red wheat berries are a far superior alternative for long-term survival. Unlike refined flour, wheat berries are the whole, unprocessed form of wheat, meaning they retain all their natural nutrients and can be stored for 30-plus years when sealed in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. That's real food security. And here's the best part. With a simple hand-crank grain mill, you can grind fresh flour anytime. This means you get maximum freshness, superior nutrition, and the ability to bake your own bread, tortillas, and survival staples even when grocery stores are empty. Hard red wheat berries are also loaded with protein, fiber, and essential minerals, making them far more nutritious than regular flour. And since they haven't been stripped of their natural oils like processed flour, they provide long-lasting energy and sustenance, critical in any emergency. If you're thinking long-term survival, stockpiling wheat berries is one of the smartest moves you can make. Because in a true crisis, the ability to produce your own fresh flour isn't just an advantage, it's a necessity. Number 5. Dehydrated beans and lentils, the ultimate survival protein. When it comes to affordable, long-lasting, and nutrient-dense survival food, dehydrated beans and lentils are a powerhouse. They're packed with protein, fiber, and essential minerals, making them a critical source of nutrition when fresh food becomes scarce. The biggest advantage? They last for decades. Properly stored in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, dried beans and lentils can remain 100% edible and nutritious for 25 to 30 years. That's real food security. And here's something most people don't realize. Beans and lentils can be sprouted, transforming them into a fresh, living food even in an emergency. Sprouting increases their vitamin and enzyme content, making them easier to digest and adding a crucial source of fresh greens when access to vegetables is cut off. Unlike canned beans, which can contain excess sodium and preservatives, dried beans are lightweight, easy to store, and far more versatile. With just water and heat, they can be turned into hearty stews, soups, or even ground into flour for high-protein baking. If you're serious about long-term survival, dehydrated beans and lentils should be a non-negotiable part of your stockpile. Number 4. Salt and seasonings, the overlooked survival. Essential salt isn't just for flavor. It's a critical survival necessity, and yet it's one of the most overlooked food items in prepper stockpiles. Why is it so important? Electrolyte balance. In a survival situation, your body needs salt to function properly, especially if you're sweating more due to stress or physical labor. Without it, you risk fatigue, muscle cramps, and even life-threatening dehydration. But salt's value goes far beyond nutrition. It's also a key food preservative. In a long-term grid-down scenario, refrigeration might not be an option. That's where salt becomes a lifesaver, allowing you to cure meats, preserve fish, and extend the shelf life of perishable foods. And it's not just salt, seasonings matter too. Spices like black pepper, garlic powder, chili flakes, and dried herbs can transform bland survival rations into meals you'll actually want to eat. Maintaining morale in a crisis is just as important as food itself, and having access to flavorful seasonings can make a world of difference. Stockpiling bulk salt, pink Himalayan salt for added minerals, and a variety of essential spices ensures you have what you need for nutrition, food preservation, and even barter. Most people forget about salt and seasonings. Don't be one of them. Number 3. Raw honey. The ultimate multi-purpose survival food. When it comes to survival foods that never expire, raw honey is king. Unlike sugar, which is empty calories, honey is nutrient-dense, energy-packed, and medicinally powerful, making it one of the most valuable preps you can stockpile.
One of honey's biggest survival advantages is its indefinite shelf life.
Found in ancient Egyptian tombs, thousands of years old, and still perfectly edible, honey is naturally resistant to spoilage due to its low moisture content and antibacterial properties. And it's not just a food, it's medicine. Honey has been used for centuries as a natural antibacterial and antifungal agent, making it perfect for treating wounds, soothing sore throats, and fighting infections when antibiotics aren't available.
But the benefits don't stop there.
Honey is an instant energy booster, thanks to its natural sugars that provide quick fuel for your body, making it ideal for high-exertion survival situations. It can also be mixed into homemade electrolyte solutions to help with dehydration. To get the most nutritional value, always go for raw, unfiltered honey, which retains its enzymes, antioxidants, and natural healing compounds. Avoid mass-produced, overly processed honey, which is often diluted with corn syrup and stripped of its health benefits. Whether for food, medicine, or emergency energy, honey is a must-have in every prepper's stockpile. Number 2. Shelf-stable dairy alternatives. The smart survival fat source. In a long-term crisis, calories matter just as much as nutrients. And that's where high-fat dairy alternatives like canned or powdered coconut milk become essential. Traditional dairy products spoil quickly and require refrigeration, making them unreliable in a grid-down scenario. But canned coconut milk and powdered coconut milk offer a long shelf-life, nutrient-dense, high-calorie alternative that preppers should not overlook. Coconut milk is packed with healthy saturated fats, providing sustained energy and essential nutrients that many emergency food supplies lack. These fats are also crucial for brain function, hormone balance, and keeping you feeling full longer. Unlike powdered dairy milk, which can go rancid over time, coconut milk is naturally more shelf-stable and resistant to oxidation.
It's also lactose-free, making it a safer option for those who can't tolerate dairy.
Beyond drinking, coconut milk is incredibly versatile. It can be used in soups, stews, baking, coffee, and even as a base for homemade energy bars. For long-term storage, go for high-quality BPA-free canned coconut milk and powdered coconut milk in Mylar bags, ensuring it remains fresh and usable for years. If you're looking for a shelf-stable, high-fat, nutrient-rich survival food that won't go bad when you need it most, this is it. Number 1. Pemmican, the ultimate survival superfood. If there's one food that every serious prepper needs, it's pemmican. Used by Native Americans and frontiersmen for centuries, this high-calorie, protein-dense survival food has stood the test of time, and for good reason. Pemmican is a powerful combination of dried meat, rendered fat, and sometimes dried berries, designed to last for years without refrigeration.
Unlike modern processed survival foods, pemmican is completely natural, lightweight, and packed with essential nutrients.
What makes pemmican a superior survival food? It has an unmatched shelf life. When stored correctly, pemmican can last decades without spoiling, longer than most canned or freeze-dried meats. It's one of the most calorie-dense foods on the planet, providing sustained energy in small, lightweight portions, making it perfect for bug-out bags or long-term storage. The combination of protein from dried meat, healthy fats from rendered tallow, and natural sugars from berries makes it a complete meal replacement in a survival situation.
Unlike beans, rice, or freeze-dried foods, pemmican requires no cooking, making it an ideal on-the-go survival food. Native American warriors, early explorers, and pioneers relied on pemmican to survive extreme conditions when food was scarce. In a modern-day crisis, this ancient food can do the same for you. If you're serious about stockpiling real, long-lasting, survival-grade food, pemmican is non-negotiable. Stock up now, before it's too late. There you have it. The 8 worst and 8 best survival foods you need before March. Some of these could save your life, while others might put you at risk without you even realizing it.
If you don't prepare now, you might regret it later. Did we miss any essential survival food? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts.
Before you go, hit that like button and subscribe to Prepper's Community for more critical survival insights to keep you prepared for whatever comes next.
Check the description for must-have survival gear and storage tips.
Stay ready, stay prepared, and we'll see you in the next video.